There you go. Boom.
The Roto-Grip Gremlin is releasing on July 18th, and while Zach ended up getting the same read and having virtually the same experience as Tobias did, Zach drilled 2 Gremlins, 1 pin up and 1 pin down, so you'll get to see a layout comparison in this one. As Zach is a full-time PBA regional player and very competitive bowler overall, his layouts go all over the place, but we're going to focus on the comparison to the Attention Star later in this one, and his is laid out almost identically to his pin-up Gremlin. We will start with the pin-up ball first, and then I'll pop the pin-down layout up when we start looking at it. The difference between the 2 balls is pretty visibly recognizable though, so that should help. We are at Royal Crest Lanes in Lawrence, Kansas on the Kegel Chromium Challenge pattern, and the graph is linked in the description if you would like to see the pattern details. I covered this very in-depth on my preview video, but to get to the point here, the Gremlin features the mild asymmetric Rondour Max D, or Maxed Core, however you want to say it. It's got a lower 250 RG, a huge 058 differential, and right in the mild asym range on int diff at 010. Now, if you don't know what the numbers mean or how layouts work, I have some instructional videos linked in the description that break it all down and illustrate it extremely well. It's basically a tweaked version of the Rondour core from the Rubicon series. The RG and int diff are basically the same, but they did max out the differential to juice it somewhat. More differential for more flair to retain the Rubicon line kind of feel, but make it more dynamic or angry on the back end. The cover is new, VR1 or Versatile Response First Edition. It's factory polished with Power Edge, and Zach did of course hit the covers on both balls very lightly with a 1500 pad to crack the shine, while still leaving them shiny to keep them cleaner and sharper. Like Tobias, he still wanted the length and flip, just not the extreme length and mega flip it has out of the box, and obviously I think you can see it's still plenty long and plenty fast. This cover is very medium strength, seems a lot like original E-Trax Pearl, so we do in fact have exactly what we thought we would, the Rubicon UC 2.0. I'll also mention the Astrophysics too if you go that far back. It's the prototypical cleaner, faster, medium strength asym for transition and a ball or two down from the stronger stuff. The Gremlin is right between a hockey stick kind of hook set ball and something round and continuous, and it really depends on what you do with it. I keep writing and rewriting stuff here because it's a little too difficult to explain fully without an entire paragraph, but it can be forward if you throw it too hard or get it too far away from the pocket too fast, but it's at the same time it's got a ton of recovery and is very continuous if you roll it or give it time to wind up or rev up and do what it needs to do, and I think that Zach illustrates that pretty well. It can be late and flat if you get too firm with it, but it can also chase the 7-pin off the deck if you give it time to work. This is definitely going to be a transition ball. Maybe you can use it on the fresh on higher friction lanes or drier league conditions. I did mention for Tobias that he has a pretty high friction situation at his home house, and he still had to hit it with the pad to slow it down a little. It can hang out on moderately more challenging conditions like this on the fresh. It would definitely be happier with more friction, but because Zach has a higher rev rate and rolls the ball pretty strongly, it fits for him on the fresh a lot better than it did for Tobias, but it still does get a little too clean as he starts getting deeper. We both think it'll be really good in late block situations where you have to get super deep and fade it or cover a lot of boards. With as clean and as fast as it is, it definitely wants to fly or be given some room. It's just going to need some transition to be its happiest later in tournaments or league on really any difficulty of condition, just deeper on the lane. That doesn't mean it's completely relegated to that just means it's going to be the best situation for it. This is another kind of middle-of-the-road ball that should be good for the majority of people. Higher speeds will need surface or a lot of friction, or this thing will go 60 feet. It is very clean, and it's going to be a lot of flip for higher rev rates unless you also have higher speed. Now, I think it will work for any rev rate, but for higher speeds, again, it's very clean, but it's probably going to be too difficult to control for slower speeds. A lot more responsive than they're going to want pretty well either way, I think, unless you also have a lower rev rate and want something punchy. As we've gotten into the pin down ball, we'll cover this more in the live commentary at the end of the video, but it's the pretty standard pin up versus pin down difference here. The pin down ball is just a little longer and rounder / slower on the back end. Still very similar overall reaction, it just doesn't want to pick up so soon because going pin down raises the RG, which makes the ball rev up or roll later, and it also lowers the differential, which reduces the flare, which makes the ball smoother down lane. Being that the Gremlin is the type of ball that Zach uses a lot, the shape difference can really help him out later in blocks when he needs that kind of reaction, but has to get more specific. If the pin up is a little too fast or dynamic, he can go to the pin down one to still be clean and sharp, but a little more controllable, and naturally if the pin down ball is a little too clean or slow, he can go pin up to beef up the reaction a little. Now, because this one is in Rotogrip's HP3 line, it feels like a bargain on the price comparatively. We're looking at $165, which is right there with the Attention Stars, but significantly below the Equinox, Identity, Evoke, Hysteria, and it's right there with the Black Widow Mania too. The Black Widows have always been considered the best ASIM bargain in bowling, so that's good news. Please make sure you hit the description before you get out of here. There's a lot of discount codes and helpful links and resources down there. I have 10% off for CoolWick, which is the best jersey company out there. 10% off for the Premium Nexus backpack, journal, and other products. That's a link you'll need to follow in the description. An email address to get custom handcrafted items made from bowling balls, and I do have something interesting here that's new from Genesis to feature. It's called Hyper Control Tape. It comes in strips or pads, and I call it Spider-Man tape because the idea is that you put it anywhere on your fingers or hands where you might want more grip, maybe even on your forearm if you're two-handed. So if you typically have issues with slipping somewhere or just want extra grip, you might check this stuff out. I'm going to go a little deeper on the comparison to the Star in this one. We compared several balls in Tobias's review if you want to check that out, but for the serious tournament bowler looking for tools instead of toys, the Gremlin is very similar on paper. The Attention Star has been out for a year and a half. Is this the writing on the wall, or can they coexist? I think right away you can see a lot of similarity, but a lot of difference all at the same time, or basically whatever you're looking to see. They're both a familiar, clean, and responsive, rounder, more continuous look. The Gremlin is definitely a few feet longer and visibly quicker on the back end, but they're definitely in the same realm. Again, I think if you think that they look close, I agree with you, but if you think they look different, I agree with you. It really depends on what's most important to you. If you're just looking for something in this zone and you're not terribly picky, flip a coin and it'll be fine either way. The Gremlin, I think, gets deep easier. The Star starts slowing down somewhat from deeper, but it's also a little more stable and controllable from straighter than the Gremlin is. I think the Star is better for the the early to mid stages of transition where you need something cleaner and you're starting to move in a little, but once heavier friction starts showing up, the Star tends to get a little early and forward. It does roll a little earlier and more heavily, and the cover seems stronger, albeit marginally. The Gremlin is definitely easier down the lane and absolutely flies back from deeper angles, so I think that it's going to be better at, again, the heavier transition, covering a ton of boards like the original UC2 was. They can coexist, but they are still somewhat similar to each other. The difference will matter more the better you are and the higher level that you bowl at. We covered the reaction chart in depth in Tobias's review, so we'll kind of skim through it here because I think that they nailed it. I don't really have much to say. I think the only comment that I had is that I think they underestimated oil volume a little. I think it has a wider range going a little further down into dry conditions, so put another couple bars on the low end for oil volume, and I think this is a perfect chart. A great job, whoever put it together. The grades are kind of stupid. We've talked about this because rarely is anything going to be bad or non-competitive. It really just matters how it stacks up against other balls in its own zone. If you ask me, is this a better ball than the Black Widow Mania, then we can talk because we have similar balls in similar zones to compare reaction characteristics. If you ask me, is this better than a Physics Blackout, we can't because they do different things, and at that point, better is relative. If you're comparing 7-irons from different brands, then you have something to work with. Otherwise, you're asking if a 7-iron is better than a 9-iron, and those are unequal comparisons. Anyway, rant off. The Gremlin absolutely stacks up with balls in its reaction zone like the Mania, the Star, the Equinox, so on and so forth, so it's a solid A. I'm expecting it to creep up to A+ as they get out on the market because that's what I'd have called the UC2, and this ball again is basically the same thing. Next up, we have some live commentary and discussion about what it's doing, where it fits, use cases, so on and so forth. The members have already gotten the full-length version of the commentary, and of course, if you have any thoughts or questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below.
Yeah,
All right, Gremlin. I have already thrown this pin up one a little bit in the league, and I like it.
Yeah, this one, it's the same ball.
Shot 10.26 for 4, so let's see how it looks on this pin.
Yeah.
Start to the right. Textbook. Textbook shot to the right.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
But yeah, it's going to be one of those where you can, when you get
Caught a
really
handful
far
of that
left.
one.
Yeah, because it'll still do that thing, where if it gets a little behind,
It's,
it'll give you that super flat 10.
Definitely,
But it'll also give you that
clean
rounder continuous.
and
If you,
continuous. For me, it's
yeah.
cleaner than the Equinox and a little more down lane. There you go.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, I don't really have much else to say other than
Not a
it
chance.
looks pretty sweet. Lets me get left and hook it as lanes break down. Throw another one. Hook.
Yeah.
Bang. I was like, come on.
Yeah, that core, that bowl has that kind of weird shape where if you give it away a little bit too much, it will straighten out. But if you don't, or if you get around it a little bit, it will just chase the 7-pin off the deck.
Yeah.
It's kind of got that, again, it's got that medium int diff, so it's kind of asymmetric, but it's kind of got that rounder symmetric shape at the same time.
Yeah, it feels like, at least for me, the symmetric stuff, at least for like the heavier volumes when I bowl regionals and stuff, just I can't quite get them to get around the corners. So having different asymmetric balls with different shapes
Yeah.
helps me out. And I feel like this will give me something when, at the end of the day, that I can use that's a little bit cleaner and quicker than some of the other asymmetric balls.
Yeah.
But doesn't
it's-
seem like it gets too stand up and forward like some of the asymmetric balls when you get left.
No, unless, I mean, like I said, unless you give it away. Like if you give it away too much, then yeah, it won't quite get back around the corner, but it will actually get back up, where most cleaner symmetric balls just don't quite have the guts to get back when you get that deep.
This video was brought to you by Panda Bear Productions. We put the in bowling.